Hi guys. Okay, I got a question for you. Has anyone started decorating their homes for the holidays already? Because I have. And when I'm out looking for some items, there's certainly a few home decor items on the market for the holiday season that are having me just say audibly out loud, that cost how much? Because come on.
That cost how much?
Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you are not familiar with our series, That Cost How Much, this is one of my favorite things to do ever. It is the journey of me finding items that feel overpriced and breaking down how you guys at home can easily DIY them with more affordable materials or things that you already own or are easily thriftable. And I just love a good challenge, and there is definitely one or two on the list today that I don't even know how we're gonna do it, so we're gonna figure this out together. But let's start with one that I'm feeling somewhat good about, and one that I really think is not worth this price at all. I am confused, and you know who has some answers to provide? Crate and Barrel. First up on the chopping block, we have the Faux Botanical Arrangement in Peau White Volcanic Glaze Vase. That was a mouthful. And this retails for $278.75 USD. These berries made of gold? I think we can do this one, guys. I think we can do it for a lot cheaper, and I think it's gonna look just as good. So I believe that the first stop in this journey is the good old thrift store to find a vase. Let's go. Oh, and in case you guys didn't think that I dressed appropriately for this video, I have my festive pants on, okay? You just couldn't see them. The sweater's not giving much, but festivities, okay? Okay, let's go. Okay, guys, check this out. So at the thrift store, I found this vase, which I actually think is pretty comparable to the shape of the original one, considering the thrift store only has limited options, and this was only $18, so I think we're off to a pretty good start. The only problem with this is it's obviously not the right color or texture at all, so we're gonna do something about that. So from the hardware store, I've got two different kinds of spray paint to hopefully get us to a similar finish. The first being just a white spray paint. This is kind of a more antique white. Technically it is heirloom white. This was $6.48 for the can. And then this spray paint is something a little special. This is a Stone Effect spray paint, which when you spray it on, will give that gritty, speckled look to your finished product. This one, I gotta say, was a little pricey. The price took me aback a bit. This was $16.98 a can. You don't need a lot of it, so buying it once will last you through many projects, but that initial price feels a little high. So I'm gonna take this outside and give it a few coats of spray. Okay, problem. I am really not liking how this is looking. The fleck is way too fine for, I think, the look that we are going for. So I'm gonna repaint it white and we'll go back inside and regroup. I'm gonna let that dry fully, so I think in the meantime we are good to move on to the second item on the chopping block. This one actually came from one of you. I put out a story on our Instagram asking if anyone had seen any good overpriced holiday items this year that they wanted to see me recreate, and that brings us to this piece. This is the Stella Christmas tree base, and it's found on the website Nordic Nest. Now this retails for $395 US. And in this case, I understand why it's this expensive, and I would even say it's appropriately priced. It's a solid wood tree stand skirt that also comes with a mechanism to hold the tree up itself in brass. It's beautiful. But all that aside, I still think this price limit is probably out of budget for most people. So I think it's all right to try and DIY something ourselves here. Now, given that this piece is made out of solid oak wood, I think that if I were to even attempt to make a similar item out of wood as well, the price is gonna add up significantly for me too. So I'm gonna take a different approach, and while the material might not be the exact same, I'm hoping the look when we're done is pretty similar. So I don't think I'm gonna reveal my material of choice just yet. But what we can start with is coming up with a template, because I need to make 8 of these. They are all geometric, symmetrical, beautiful diamond-esque shapes, and freehanding that is just not gonna give us the right look. So let's see what we can do. This is our very naked tree that we're going to be putting this tree skirt on. So to start, I'm gonna take a few measurements just so that I know kind of the overall scale that we're starting with. Firstly, I'm measuring the existing base of this tree. Okay, that's 26 inches. And then I also want to know how wide the spread of the tree branches are too, just for scale also. Approximately 60 inches. So on my computer here, I've just pulled up Photoshop and I have a grid system going where each square is 10 inches. So I'm gonna input what I know already. We've got the tree stand that we already have at 26 inches and the tree itself roughly spanning about this much bigger. Now, according to the Nordic Nest site, their tree stand is about 20 inches wide, which when I drag this into our existing scenario, it feels a little small. Like that's definitely gonna get hidden under the branches, so I think I wanna size it up just a little bit. Maybe something like that feels about nice. So based on this grid system, it's looking like the ideal length for each one of my points is 17 inches. So now it's time to build a template. We are workshopping my template.
Everything is perfect, but we want it to go from flat to
Snatched.
amen, sister. Don't we all?
After multiple revisions and picking the brains of a lot of very smart people at this office, thank you Rachel, thank you Rochelle, I present to you the perfect template to make your very own diamond piece for this tree skirt in 3 parts. And if you guys didn't know, for almost every DIY and project that we do, there is an accompanying blog post on our blog that steps out the entire process and lists the materials with easy to find links. And I just gotta say, maybe it's a little underrated. Maybe you haven't checked it out before and maybe you should, especially if you wanna get this template because it is there. So the reason it's in 3 pieces is just because it wouldn't fit on a single piece of standard paper. So I'm now just going to tape it together and cut it out. The only thing I'm really missing is material to trace the template onto. So I'm gonna head to the craft store and see what they have that's gonna work for this. I want it to be easy to cut, but also easy to fold, but also thick enough to hold a solid shape. I'm hoping for a lot here, okay? I'm hoping there's something that's like pretty affordable in large sheets because this is gonna be a pretty big sized cutout I gotta do. Wait. Okay, yeah. This is perfect. And for a huge sheet of it, that should get me a couple pieces. It's $4.29. Not bad. Okay, I'm back. The product that I ended up finding, I think is just gonna be absolutely perfect for this. So this is called millboard, and it's like a thin cardboard, but still rigid enough. I feel like if you guys are seeing where this is gonna go, I can get so many of these out of one sheet. So the next step is literally just that, taking the template that we've already made and tracing it onto the cardboard so that it can be cut out. The thing to make sure is that you're tracing around every part of this, including getting into the little tabs, because that is the area we're going to apply the glue to help hold this into its final shape. I'll be using an X-Acto knife on a cutting mat to help me cut this all out nicely. So I've got something that looks like this, and before I fold it together, I just want to do some score lines on the areas that I plan to fold it so that there's a nice clean fold and we don't crack the cardboard. You know you've got a good score line when you try and bend it and there's a little bit of give. What is this reminding me of? I want to say the Sims Plumb Bob, but I feel like that's not quite it. It's something that this is reminding me of. But now all that's left to do is to permanently put it together, and I'm just going to use hot glue to glue the tabs to the inside. It's cardboard. I think this should work perfectly fine. So I have all of my pieces made and they look so good and they feel so rock solid, which is one thing I was worried about, but I'm not. Now, I'm going to attempt to paint them to look similar to a wood tone and perhaps even a wood texture. For starters, I've got some paint here. A little sample pot of like wall paint is about $5. So I'm gonna use this. It's kind of a woody brown tone and I'm gonna paint all the pieces. So we picked up this very special brush for $4. And what this is supposed to do is supposed to allow you to paint a wood grain effect onto anything. I've seen the videos of this working and it blows my mind every time. I have a hard time believing it's gonna work that well, but we're gonna go for it. This looks like one of those brushes that gets like cat hair off of couches, you know? So what my plan is to take, since I want this to be subtle, a bit of the original paint color that I painted these with, and I'm gonna add a little bit of just black to make this a tiny bit darker, a tiny bit different, so that the wood grain, you can tell it's a different color. Just the tiniest little drop. Okay. So you have to think of this paintbrush more as removing paint to create the pattern instead of painting the pattern on. So we're gonna start by adding a fairly thick layer of the new paint color. I'm gonna start with the tip of the brush, drag it down and slightly roll the brush as I go to create a difference in pattern. Probably a little hard to tell, but I think that worked. Overall, there is definitely a wooden-esque grain. So I tried to think of so many different sophisticated ways to assemble this that would be easy to disassemble. This is a cardboard build. I think it just makes sense to carry on with the hot glue and glue the pieces together into a ring. Nothing left to it but to do it. Now assembly for this might look a little bit different for everyone depending on what tree base you're already working with. For this to work best, I would recommend one of those totally flat bottom tree stand bases. They look something like this. You can find them online. But in my case, I had to work around some legs that we already had on the tree stand. What this meant for me was just creating a few notches in the back of the cardboard so that it could sit over top of the legs nicely. Which, by the way, this beautiful wood tree stand on our tree was made entirely from scratch by Rochelle, and she made a short all about how she did it. So that is up right now on our YouTube channel. Go to our shorts tab, you can see it there, instructions and everything. It's brilliant, check it out. Oh my gosh, the way that this is making me do a stretch that I haven't done in years! Do it for the $380 savings. Now we're ready to talk about cost, but I do want to get a few points out of the way first because if I feel like I don't say it, you guys are all going to say it in the comments. First being, mine was made of cardboard, the original was made of wood. The original also is a tree skirt and tree stand combination, so it's a one-stop shop. So while there are some slight differences, I think the savings are going to more than make up for that because, oh my gosh, you guys. Ready to hear this? Are you ready to hear this? The original Stella tree base retails for $395, and when I add up my cardboard, my paintbrush, and my paint, my version cost me $18 to make. $18. And to just put this even a little more into perspective, if you just happen to have a bunch of cardboard lying around in your recycling and have access to some brown paint, you could make this for free. I know you can. I believe in you. I believe in your recycling pile and your ability to cut and fold some shapes. With that being said, a reminder that that template I made is on our blog, and I say we move on to the next one. Okay, so reverse everything, scratch that whatever it was, $30 can of spray paint because we're not using it. It's not worth it for this project specifically. I'm gonna take it back to basics, do a much simpler technique, and that is the good old-fashioned brush splatter technique. most commonly done with a toothbrush. Didn't have one here today, so I'm opting for this cleaning brush. Basically all you need is a brush that's got dense bristles so it can flick the paint. The paint in question that will be fluck is nothing more than a simple little dollar store thing of black paint. And I'm gonna dilute it slightly with some water so that it is flickable, more easy to be flicked. Oh, that's so much better. So after playing around with a bunch of different splattering techniques, going back and forth between the black and the brown paint, and going in and freehanding some larger dots with a small paintbrush, the effortless speckled finish of this vase is starting to look really good. Okay, they can't be too perfect because then it looks like polka dots, you know? So that means we're on to the last step, which is a trip to the garden center to find some greenery to fill it with. I didn't know if they'd have their Christmas stuff out yet, but oh boy. This is so realistic looking. Like what? Have to touch it to confirm it's not real. Okay, this one's pretty good. It's $16 for a single branch though. So I wanna see what the real stuff is costing. I found the real stuff and this looks pretty good. So to compare, this is the real and this is the faux, and they look pretty much identical. This will just last you longer. And I also need some red berry branches for this arrangement, so I'm gonna go to the craft store because I feel like the prices will be slightly better there. Okay, I'm back. Quick little haul time. I ended up getting this bunch of cuttings. This is actually a Leyland cypress tree, and it was only $6.50 US for a whole bunch of these, and I think this looks exactly like the photo. As you saw, there was the faux version available for $16 a branch. Depending on how long you want this arrangement to last, you certainly could take that route and still probably net out cheaper, but today I'm gonna go with real. Also, it smells so good. And then for the berry branches, I did not get any real ones. These were surprisingly affordable, $2 for a branch, and there was a buy one, get one deal, so for 3 of them, that's about $4. We are looking good. Yes, we are. Why is there no like fairy that uses a branch like this as the wand? Can I be the first? So what do we need to do now? We need to put them in the vase that we've made. I have nothing to say except for I feel like this looks identical. Dare I say it, maybe even better because she's a little more lush, a little more real life looking because most of it is real plants. But obviously a mother is always biased to love her child the most. So I'll let you be the judge. Let's compare this not only style-wise to the original, but also let's do a cost breakdown. So as a reminder, the botanical vase from Crate & Barrel retails for $278.75. And when we add up all the materials I needed to make my very own version, this cost me a total of $38.98. To be clear, that is a savings of almost $248. I'm just gonna sit back and let us all enjoy this win for us, okay? So I'm feeling very good about that one, but there is one final project that I want to take on, and that involves another piece that I was able to get from the garden center. Let me introduce you to the pre-lit brush trees on wood base from Anthropologie. Why do I feel like they did not even try in the slightest with that title? Like, I feel like Anthropologie at least gives you like cute names that kind of justifies the title, like the It also makes me wonder why it is $108, because all of the materials that are going to go into making this are things that you can pick up for a lot less money than what they are charging for this. So I say we gather what we can, put our DIY skills together, and we make this thing. And I know it's not going to cost us $108. I
thought these were the prices at first and I got very concerned, but that's just the length of the stick. It is much more reasonable. I'm back, and from what I can tell, the original piece is made out of a wood called sisal wood, but the thing that I had access to were these logs made of birch wood. And honestly, I feel like birch feels more holiday-y to me anyways, so we're gonna go with that. This log that's about 40 inches long cost me about $5, so I think we're off to a pretty good start. Now, the challenge that we have to face next is how do we get this to not be a round log and instead be half a log so it can sit nicely in the center of a table. And I think I have a plan. Okay, so what I've done is take just a scrap piece of wood from our storage room and I'm clamping it to the side of my work table. What this is gonna allow me to do is to screw the birch log into this to hold it tight in place while I use my circle saw to cut it in half. I'm only gonna put the screws through part way, just enough to hold it in place. And because I only care about keeping one good half of the log, it's okay if there's a couple screw holes in the other half. The secret to cutting through a log like this that is a harder wood is to go slow. We want the saw to be doing all of the work, so don't push it, don't force it, don't rush it, all of that. Go as slow as you need. My saw blade wasn't deep enough to cut through the entire thing in one go, so I went halfway through, then unscrewed it from the support, flipped it over, screwed it back in place, and then did that same cut through the other side. Okay, did we do it? Ah! We did it! Yay! You know, growing up, I was always taught that you're not supposed to peel the bark off the birch trees, so that felt very wrong to do, but also extremely satisfying. So I think we've got an awesome looking base for the rest of this project. So I think what we need to do now is head out and find all of the little trees and the lights to put this thing together. I am dying over the Christmas miniature stuff. Like, okay, yes, a small plate of cookies makes sense, but small box of ornaments in the box still. Things in other things for me. The little jar of like cookie toppings. Oh my god. Okay, so I had a lot of success at the craft store finding the bottle brush trees. They had a good amount of variety and the price wasn't bad. Some gold ones and a mix of some baby ones. And luckily these are all close to the color palette we're working with. And on a side note, there was a really great buy one, get one holiday decoration sale going on. So like, really only had to pay for these to get this. But strictly buying the materials and assembling it doesn't feel like enough work for me, for my true DIY soul. So I just want to take a moment and explain why these are called bottle brush trees. If you didn't know, it's because the shape of the tree is very similar to that of a brush that you might wash bottles with. So I picked up a couple while I was out and I'm gonna try and DIY myself some just to see if it can be done. This was like $1 for a 3-pack of them. I couldn't find huge ones, but we need mini trees anyways, so let's go for it. Bye. Really, this is pretty good. I just need to make the angle more extreme so that it looks more like a tree. I think I can just literally just do it like this. It's like giving your Barbie dolls a haircut. I feel like that's not bad. A little tiny Christmas tree. And then I was curious how easily these would take to like spray paint if you wanted to make them a different color. So I took them outside, hit them with some white spray paint, and These are so good. It worked so well. The paint actually stuck to the edges, like the outer bits, a little more than the inside, which really added to kind of that snow effect. So I think that means it's now time to put these on the log. Adding the trees to the log was really simple. All I needed to do was use some wire cutters and cut the base off the trees, so I was left with the exposed metal end. Then I used a drill bit matching the ends of the trees and put some holes into the log wherever I wanted the tree to sit. And then it was as simple as just putting the tree into the hole that I had drilled. I found that I didn't need glue or anything extra. The fit of the trees is actually pretty snug into the holes. Oh my God, it's so cute. And the last step was to light this up. So I'm taking my string lights and literally just wrapping them around all of the trees, going from one side to the other. And this is my completed centerpiece. Honestly, I was doubtful that the lights would be where it all goes wrong. The way that they kind of go into the branches and kind of create a glow instead of an obvious light bulb is just so appealing. What's going to be even more appealing is seeing how much money we saved on our DIY version. So originally, as a reminder, the pre-lit brush trees on wood base from Anthropologie retails for $108 US. And when I add up all the supplies I needed to recreate a version of my own, this cost me $33. And I'm gonna say it is just as cute. I might even like the birch log better because it feels more holiday for me. But as always, I wanna hear from you. How do you think I did? Do you think my DIY version compares to the original? Let me know in the comments below.
Daddy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come sit with me, boy.
I hope you all are having a wonderful start to your holiday season, and like I said, I want to hear it from you in the comments below. Be as honest as you need to be. How do you think I did? And would you have done something a different way? Because I want to know. Maybe I'll do it for next time. And if you would like to see us take on more potentially overpriced holiday decor, then I'm going to point you to another episode of That Cost How Much? Holiday Edition that you can watch, linked here at the end and in the description below. I'll see you guys there. Bye! Pa? Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being so beautiful for the outro. Okay, bye.